Thank you for joining us now. The challenges of Nigeria's economy are checkered, stubborn, and complicated, but not insurmountable, as the economic challenge is significant and potentially severe, necessitating massive private investment. Despite the vulnerabilities in the global economy occasioned by the war in Ukraine, which has distorted the commodity supply chain with the resultant high energy prices and imported inflation into various economies, including Nigeria, the latter is yet to feel the full wrath of the development, as there are worries over the deplorable state of the economy, with virtually all the sectors seriously struggling to remain afloat. However, to ensure a stable macro economy, economic analysts are of the view that the CBN must put financial system stability on the front burner, as a resilient financial system is one in which there are well-developed crisis management arrangements for handling distressed financial institutions in such a way that public confidence in the financial system will not be undermined. All right, so let's get talking now. I've been joined by Mr. Olusesan Okunade, is the chairman of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ikeja District. He joins us virtually now. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Frank, and good morning to all our viewers. Great to be here on a Friday.
Okay, yeah. So let's get started now. I need you to give us your assessment of the monetary policies of the Central Bank of Nigeria, especially with regards to maintaining stability in the country's financial sector.
Frank, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Did you hear my question?
I did not hear you. Freezed a bit. I won't mind if you can repeat it.
Okay, I was asking you to give us your assessment of CBN's policy with regards to stabilizing the financial, sector. So, what's your take on that? Despite the effort of the CBN in some area, I mean, we have some economic headwinds being recorded. Most of the tier 1 banks in the country recorded significant growth in the 2022 financial year. So there's a mix here. One is that the inflation is rising despite the intervention of the central bank in some sectors, and also the interest rate, which has been revealed upward. So talk to us. What's your position? Has CBN performed as expected?
Thank you very much, Frank. And I want to start by saying that if you want to rate the CBN governor and the team, we will say that they've put in their best. But at times, your best may not be good enough. Putting into consideration certain challenges faced by the global space 2020. I'm sure you know we faced COVID-19 between 2020 2021 that necessitated so much breakdown in the economic activities of nations. Also, it plunged some nations back to recession. And that's why we will say that if we need to rate the CBN, we need to put side by side some of the challenges unprepared for that they were faced, and also how they are able to swell around them. But if you come in locally, domestically, you discover that the economy is still struggling, considering the fact that some of the policy that we seem to have might be brilliant, but our implementation has been a major.
Hello, Mr. Okunade. Are you still there?
Why do I say this? I'm sure you know that we are independent of one another in terms of raw material. There are another places being processed, and the consumption is based on another area. So that has been a major factor for us domestically. If you look at some of the policy that they've actually put in place, we've seen instances where the interest rate is being increased on the premise that reduce the reduce the inflation rate, and we created a lot of hardship on the economy. You know, as at the time that we're coming out of COVID, you see some nation, what they did was to create palliative measure for their businesses to succeed and to grow. But in this part of the world, we could not do that because as a developing nation, it was a major constraint for us to create such for them to grow. So you discover that the CBN, within the ambit of what they had, they did their best, but it has not improved. Some of the policy has not contributed meaningfully to the growth as expected. If you look at the redesigning of the currency, it's one of the areas where they used to tame the level of insecurity by making sure that the bandits and the terrorists do not have access to funds. But they rely solely on the financial institution, on the making sure the availability of the e-payment platform. But what did we see? The utilization of that platform by people based on the rush with the non-availability of cash necessitated that approach of putting so much businesses into a very tight corner. One thing we've seen about CBN is there are good and qualitative policy, but seeing through this policy in area of implementation have been a very serious challenge, of which has given a great concern to the citizen in terms of reducing their purchasing power and their earning power, and so much that you can say.
Talk to us, despite all the turbulences in the first quarter of the year, we saw that the Purchasing Managers Index jerked up from 48 point to 50 point in the month of April. So what would you say is the driving factors here? What sectors do you think are driving these recoveries?
Yeah, I think one sector you always allude to that has been a major contributing factor is the information technology. I'm sure you know a lot of people are riding on it. As we speak, after the advent of COVID, several people are still working from home, and you know what that implies. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm sure those days it have been a physical meeting in the office, and it's something that we are riding on, which is data and the high level of calls that we make. So I feel the information technology is one of the contributing factor to the growth that we have experienced, and the relative stability after election. You know, the atmosphere of pumping out funds has actually reduced, which gives stability to the currency for people to transact business, considering the scarcity that we experienced in the month of February / March before the Supreme Court was able to prevail on CBN to bring in the economy. One factor we cannot shield away from is that Nigeria is still cash-based. Majority of our transactions are being done, most especially at the lower level on cash basis. But we want to believe that the advent of the technology that we are talking about and other means that can be used to improve the financial stability, because it plays a very important role in how you have confidence. If I know I can transact my business online, then definitely the confidence of having it online will be there, and then the trust, you can build trust over time, not situation where you transfer money, your account is debited, the other party is not getting value for it. It discourages you and build some element of distrust, which affects the outlook of the business on its own, and on its own it had its impact on the general economy of a nation.
And in terms of achieving financial stability, so how sustainably well, significant well, the CBN is addressing the financial stability in Nigeria. I mean, look at what happened during the Naira redesign policy, where there was scarcity of cash in the economy.
Well, like I said, CBN are trying their best, but in terms of policy implementation, there seems to be a gap between the the policies and the actualization of that policy, the reality of that policy. I can tell you for free that the issue of redesigning of currency would have been a game changer if the commercial banks have the wherewithal to withstand the pressure that we have seen, because practically even the people on the road were already, plugging into that attitude of saying you can do transfer. But when people started experiencing failure that was not even intentional, it becomes an issue. So it's also it borders on the CBN to have a test through of some of these policies that is going to be passed across to the citizen. And if you are able to have good financial institution that the people can trust all about, I'm sure the exchange of goods and services relies solely on financial institution of I being able to meet my obligation. And if you are able to have good interest rate for businesses to have a credit facility to develop their idea, it will enhance the growth of our economy. Why doing fantastically well in addressing some of these issues.
I mean, if you look at the narrow resident policy, the challenge, according to many, is that the transition phase was too short. I mean, by the time the notice came in December, between that time and January ending, it was too short. So, what do you think can be the biggest risk to achieving a complete transition to the new Naira note? Because at the moment we're not even seeing the new Naira note between now and December. So what can be the biggest risk, and what can the CBN start doing between now and then?
Yeah, well, I confirm with you that the availability of the new Naira note has suddenly disappeared. We've gone back to status quo. But area I feel that they need to strengthen is the financial institution to test run some of their platform at which we can carry out some of these transactions. And if there are failures, the response rate, how they can determine in such a way that people will not be losing money to these financial institutions. And how much of a feedback do we have from the citizen, the customer, on the performance of some of these financial institutions? It is quite surprising that even at the first quarter, majority of them are declaring good profitability for first quarter. But you ask yourself, has that impacted on the common man, on the common citizen, knowing fully well that part of this profitability, certain percentage are meant for SMEs? How are we monitoring that these funds are disbursed to the right set of people in the SMSC to grow the middle level, to grow the economy? These are things that we expect that the CBN should monitor, in details, and get feedback mechanism from the customer, from the citizen, on the performance of some of these financial institutions.
Okay, just before I let you go quickly, talk to us about your expectation of the incoming administration. Less than 3 weeks to go. Today is 5th. Say less than 28 days already. So what are the expectations here? Barring any unforeseen circumstance, how do you think that will instill, because we still have litigations in the out there, which of course nobody knows the outcome. So what's your outlook?
Yeah, well, as regard the litigation, when we get to the bridge, we'll cross it. But let's talk of what we have currently. You value what you have in your hand, not the one that you're expecting. For the president-elect, I can say I'm one of the advocates that believes in him. Although so many people have accused me, possibly because he is one of a senior professional colleague, which is in the field of accounting. We understand figures. We understand the currency. We know how some of these things are being done. And we want to believe that some of the things that he actually put in place while he was a governor, he can replicate some of these ideas. Remember that he was stiffened of getting revenue from the federal government, and he was able to have his way. And you can see even from the first assignment as president-elect in Rivers State, when the governor came and said they will be expecting a refund from him, he threw back to the governor to say, I owe you nothing. You have developed the road for the benefit of your citizen. You have gotten the glory. Definitely, you must love me. He understand the dynamics at which the governors will come. We have heard of so many federal government projects at state level being over bloated. He's been there, and because he wants the performance, he will tell you you need to go and readjust the figure. If you, I must give you a listening ear. And I think he passed the message to several to say, I have passed the road. Some of you who are my colleague as governor are just passing, and I understand it. And so I believe so much in it that in no distance time we'll start seeing the improvement. I cannot even explain. I'm sure if you ask people that are buying diesel, suddenly as we are approaching, we saw that the cost of diesel has suddenly dropped from over 700 to about 680 from what I heard the other time. And it's just the mechanism that you start saying that when somebody who understands figures come in place, you cannot just play over them. They will definitely give you the best.
Okay. A good place to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Olusesan Okunade is Chairman, Ikeja Society District of Ican. We appreciate your time on the program today.
Thank you very much, Frank, and have a very lovely Friday.
And you too. All right, still to come after the break. Brent crude rose 14 cents, selling at $72.64 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate was also up by 17 cents as well. I'll bring you details in a moment. Please stay with us.